Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Kellen here again with Droid Life. So, still got the Galaxy Fold in-house, and I'm actually really enjoying my time with it. I mean, guys, it folds and unfolds. It's pretty incredible. Obviously, there's some downsides to it, but for the most part, this is one of those things I can't wait to see where the future leads us. That said, our time with it is about come to an end. And look, we really just want to talk about it more with you guys, show some stuff off, talk about maybe some of our favorite things you can do with it. So that's what this video is. Here are our favorite features of the Galaxy Fold. So the first thing to highlight is the fact that I've had it for a week and it's not broken. It's not broken at all. The screen is still flawless, intact. It works. I've been using it nonstop. This is the only phone I've really used for the past week, and it's good. The front one is fine. The inside one is fine. It is absolutely fine. So let's just get that out of the way. But as far as features go, I thought I'd just talk about how what's really cool about this phone is you have kind of two experiences. You have this big open, folded, unfolded, folded, whatever experience. And then on the front, you do have this little cover display, which I know seems kind of pointless and weird being so small. I mean, I think it's 4.7 inches, but it's not very wide. It's only HD. And it is kind of small. I mean, when you start trying to use this thing, there's just not a lot you can do with it, and everything's smaller on it. And you eventually do open up to the big side because that's just where all the fun happens. That said, though, you do kind of get two separate setups, which is kind of where I think one of the strengths of the Fold lies. So I have this cover display set up with a clock, just because I kind of always have a clock on Android phones. But then I have 6 shortcuts of apps that I use all the time. So these are the 6 I access the most. And then I have one other page with some other apps that I may just want quick access to if I don't want to have to open up the phone or, swipe into the app drawer. And then I've got like some weather. So I've kind of used the cover display to just give me little bits of information. In a way, it's kind of like a smartwatch, right? I use it for notifications. Not really heavy lifting. It's there for glanceable, short bits of info, and that's kind of it. And then when I want to really get wild, we just kind of go with the big guy and we open it all up. So you get two setups. As you'll notice, I've got 2 different wallpapers. I also have 2 different home screen setups. This is sort of my more traditional setup where these are the apps I use the most on all phones. So they're kind of in my drawer on every single phone I use. And then I swipe over and I have a page that has all of the apps I use all of the time. Google Fit up here, a Google search bar and things like that. Like, this is basically how I have every single phone set up. So I have that experience on the inside. And again, on the outside, this cover display, it's just a really basic minimal setup. So kind of cool that you can get in and out of stuff here. And then if you dive in and, like, say you want to view a full email or whatever, you can open up and then you have this experience here. So, you can long press and set wallpapers, and, you can see right now I've got this specific like butterfly wallpaper just kind of as a test. But so I can set this up, and you can set it up as a home screen or lock screen or both. So you can actually have separate settings there depending on, how you want it. Like, I don't think I can move this, but I'll just show you. I'll set this up here. And then if I actually lock the phone in this state, you'll notice that I do have an actual lock screen on the inside of the Fold, which is kind of cool. And you can double tap on it and it'll show you lock screen. But so I have a wallpaper here and I can swipe in. Well, I'll just unlock, and it unlocks into this experience where I just changed that wallpaper. But if I flip open to the front, I also have a lock screen with its own wallpaper, and then I can swipe up or unlock. And then I have this. So 2 separate experiences, multiple wallpapers, different app experiences. And it's kind of a nice way to transition from one to the next. Now, there is one thing I would point out. If you put on something like Nova Launcher, you don't get to have 2 experiences from one to the next. I believe Samsung has done some custom work with their own launcher, to whereas here I just have this minimal experience and then I unfold it and I have a different experience. I put Nova Launcher on just to test it. That did not work. It was the same exact layout from one to the next. If I removed things or added things, they showed up on both the cover screen and this. But either way, it's a dual setup experience, which is kind of good for just maybe being more efficient on your phone. Sort of continuing on though with that thought of having 2 experiences, one of the big selling points with this phone is the app continuity feature, which Samsung, I believe, worked with Google to build in, where you can take an app from here, and if you have it open and you open up to the big side, it kind of continues on in there. It's kind of a foldable thing, an Android thing. Samsung's kind of got out on the lead in doing this. But so what I'm suggesting is, like, you have Twitter open and you're looking at the tweets and everything's kind of small here, and maybe you want to type on a bigger keyboard or whatever you want to do, you just fold it open and it should just take you right to where you were on that screen. So it's a simple idea, and it seems like something that should obviously be there, but it obviously is something they pointed out. So there was some work there to make that happen. So it works with, as far as I've run into, every single app I've tried. So like if you're reading an article on Droid Life and you're like, yeah, this is kind of small in this cover display, open it up, then you get the bigger version of it and you can read it there. So it works with just about every app, at least all of the ones that I've tried. And it works well. I mean, it really does leave you off exactly where you were. So yeah, just app continuity. It's just one of those things that kind of works. The next thing though I'd show you is multi-window. Now this is kind of the other big change that Samsung has done. Rather than just running 2 apps at once, this phone can run 3 apps at once. So you have to have the phone open and in this sort of big unfolded state, but you get this little menu if you swipe out from the side, sort of like the edge paneling or whatever you get on some of Samsung's phones, but here it's like it has a specific name, but basically you just swipe it out and so you can access this 3-window setup. So I could grab like Twitter and drag it, and let's just drop it here on this side. So I have Twitter open there, and then if I want something else open, like let's say YouTube, we'll grab it and put it over here. So I have YouTube open, have this open, and let's say I forgot there's like an article going on in Droid Life I want to read. So we'll just grab that and drop that, say right here. So now I've got Twitter, Chrome, YouTube all open. We can go over here and play a video. So video playing here, well, it's loading, playing there. Twitter here, can fully scroll in here, and Droid Life down here. You can read articles in the entire site. So 3 apps at once. In the times that I've had this phone, I can't tell you that I've used it a lot. I mean, it's kind of nice if you're watching like Twitch or... Is that not playing? Come on, baby. Let's try a different video. How about that? No, you can't see anything. How about that video? Okay, so is that gonna play? That's playing. There we go. So now we have all these different things going. You can see I'm over here, and that's still playing. So it's not even in the active window, and that video is still playing. But again, what I was saying is I don't know that I've used this a whole bunch outside of maybe YouTube or Twitch open and then Twitter on one side. I don't know why on earth you would need 3 things, but you can have 3 things if you want. You can tap on all of these, and like I can make this pop out now. Now it's a popped out floaty window that I can drag around, tap on things to close them, can swipe over here and close out the whole experience. I mean, you guys have seen multi-window setups before. This one's just unique in that you can do 3 things at once. Kind of only in that layout though, a big column on the left side and 2 small ones here, but whatever, it works pretty well. Now, those were kind of like the 3 big things, right? The dual experiences, app continuity, multi-window. Those are the things that Samsung highlights and that they want to promote as being different with this phone. And while those are all cool, and I use, 2 of the 3 of them, the other stuff I'd point out is that while this is a foldable and you kind of get this tablet or mini tablet experience, it's still very much one of Samsung's phones. It runs Android, this one's running Android 9. It'll soon run Android 10, but it runs their One UI. So you get the full One UI experience. So that means like you get a dark theme, right? Like that's all built in. All your settings and stuff like that are in familiar places, and they look normal and as you would expect. In terms of settings though, like you won't really find a whole bunch of unique things just because it's a foldable. It's actually very much just like a Galaxy S10. But if we go into like a display, for example, there's like blue lights and night modes, and you can change the screen between natural or vivid. I've kind of left it on vivid just to kind of go wild with the folded display. But if I go into like nav bar, here's one thing that's a little bit different. So you can use gestures, and this is not Android 10, so you still have Samsung's weird swipe up gestures or the nav bar, and you can switch the back button layout, but you can also change the position. So I have it set over here to the right because I find that I hold it and I just reach down with my thumb. But you could center those buttons so they could be centered if you want to go with that, or if you tend to use your left hand more, you could have the left hand button situation. So kind of cool that you can customize some of that stuff. That's one of the more unique things to this. But outside of that, you still have, let me go back here. You still have like the advanced features, right? So like Bixby's here. I don't use Bixby. I turned it off, and like this power button, you can configure to launch Bixby or turn the phone off or launch the camera and that stuff. I have it turning off the phone, locking it, or launching the camera. I turned off Bixby. That's what this side key is. But like Bixby's there. The multi-window tray is this thing. That's what I was talking about. I couldn't remember the name, so it's just this button here that allows you to get into multi-window. But there's like smart capture and direct share, and you can reduce animations, which everyone should do on every Samsung phone, by the way. As far as motions and gestures, like none of this stuff's really different, like lift to wake and double tap to wake. Like these things are all on other Samsung phones. Finger sensor gestures, you do have those, which is kind of cool because it's on the side. So if you want to swipe down anything, it's kind of nice because your thumb's already there. So one of those things you may want to enable, but palm swipe to capture. Anyway, so this stuff is not necessarily unique to the Fold, but one thing that's cool is like you get the Samsung experience. So you get the Fold as the bonus with those continuity and multi-window things, and then you kind of get the same sort of setup. If I go ahead and search, I just want to pop up a keyboard for you. So I'm running Gboard on here, but the Samsung keyboard actually has a split layout, and you can actually toggle between it if you don't want it. So you can tap that button and get between it. But so it's kind of easier for typing on the thumbs. I just don't like Samsung's keyboard, so I don't actually use it. And Gboard has worked actually quite well, and the sizing's right and all of that stuff. But so you can flip between those two, but you know, that's just part of an Android thing. Overall, though, the experience I like because, well, I like Samsung's One UI at this point. I'm looking forward to Android 10 to see if we get some more advancements as far as the foldable stuff goes. You know, and overall, it's been a pretty nice experience. After that, I probably just talk to you a little bit about the camera because the experience here is, well, it's unique. There are lots of cameras. You have the triple camera setup here. Don't mind my greasy face. This thing is a fingerprint magnet, this black one. 3 cameras here, so wide angle, ultra wide, telephoto. On the front cover, you have a single camera, 10 megapixel, and then on the inside, you actually have 2 more, 10 and an 8 megapixel. So you've got lots of cameras. When you're using this phone, that means, well, I can fire up the camera. So I fired it up, and in the cover display, I can still access all 3. So there's telephoto, there's wide, and there's ultra wide. So you can access all 3 of those from here. Of course, if I'm on this and I don't want to look through this tiny viewfinder, I just open up and then it gets me the big dog experience, right? So now I've got access to all of those once again in here. What's kind of cool about this viewing experience, and I know like we make fun of people with iPads who take pictures, but this is not quite iPad size. I mean, you still might look sort of goofy taking pictures with this thing, but definitely not on an iPad level. But they've added some controls like this shutter button. You can move like down here if you want. So I can tap here and it'll take lots of pictures in case you don't want to hold up here or something. And then if you want to make that go away, you just drag it right back on the button. So not a special experience, but it does take up the full thing. You can move that shutter button around and that sort of thing. If we flip over to the selfie camera, well, you get this look. So you can flip over and because you're using these cameras now. If we close it, and we'll have to reopen the camera, fire up camera. There we go. So selfie camera there as well. So you kind of have cameras everywhere. The cool thing and the most important thing is that when you're taking the photos that you really, really, really care about, they always are going to use these back ones. So again, if I'm here and I'm using the back ones, and if I open up, same thing, I'm still using these same back ones. So kind of a cool thing. One thing to note as far as app continuity that I forgot to show you is if you have an app open inside like this, and you're like, well, maybe I want to transfer this to the cover display. It actually locks the phone when you close it, so it doesn't do that. See, and then if I awaken it, the camera's not open. Just point that out. Either way, the camera experience is, you know, it's one of those Galaxy Note, Galaxy S10, that very same experience. You just have more cameras, a bigger viewfinder, which is great because Samsung cameras are quite good. For the most part, that's kind of it. Those are the big things that stand out here. You have a Samsung phone with all of Samsung's bells and whistles in a device that folds. Now, again, there's downsides here, right? Like we know this thing is fragile and I've taken extra care of it. I make sure it's nowhere near my kitchen. I let my kid play with it like once. My wife played with it maybe twice. I mean, like I've babied this thing like I've babied no phone. That said, it's a first gen and it's got issues and we're all well aware of those. No one should buy this. I mean, you should not buy it. It costs $2,000 please do not buy this. With that said, where we're going from here, assuming Samsung continues to advance this technology, it's kind of an exciting time. I mean, in the time that I've had this, I can tell you, like, it's one of those phones I don't want to put down. Like, I've got this cover display, I can get some stuff done, and then when I just want to do big stuff, because doing things on a bigger screen is oftentimes more fun, although this isn't like tablet size, right? It's not this big. It's not the size of an iPad or a Pixel Slate or whatever. So you get a big screen that's not stupidly large. Like, I can hold this in one hand. You can't use it with one hand, but I can hold it comfortably in one hand for long periods of time and then do whatever I want with my other hand. Like, it actually makes a lot of sense. I actually really, really like where Samsung is going. Yeah, the cover display might be cooler to see that stretch to the top, maybe slightly wider. You know, you can't do a ton here, but you can do some stuff. If someone sends me a message, I can open it up here, quickly answer it, put the phone away. If somebody sends me a link, I can open it in Chrome and then open it over here and then get it. You know, I can kind of I have flexibility to kind of manage my experience more than you could on a normal smartphone. So overall, I would say my impressions are, I really, really, really like this device. If it wasn't so fragile, if I wasn't so worried that this screen right here, that I can't press that hard on it, that replacing it after the first time, which will cost me $150, could cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, or that dust might get in there, that I can't bring this anywhere near water, those sorts of things. Like, if it didn't have those issues, at $2,000, like, I may consider it. Like, it's that cool. I'm not kidding, people. It's that cool. Performance is great. It's got 512 gigabytes of storage with UFS 3.0, and it's got 12 gig RAM. Like, and it's Samsung stuff. Like, they're doing better with updates and all of that stuff. Like, this thing is cool. It's also cool to just do that. Like, I mentioned this in my unboxing video. Like, guys, you can unfold it. Like, you get to do that's just cool. Like, look at this thing. Like, it's just folded. Like, it's not gonna break. I mean, it's not supposed to. We're supposed to be able to do this like 100,000 times. So, like, that's not gonna break. You know, it's not a bad size. It's a little big and weighty. Obviously, it's quite thick. So that's one of those issues. You know, like, the thinness of it will be a future thing that Samsung needs to focus on. But overall, it's very, very cool. Again, I don't think anyone should buy this. I'm not gonna keep one in house. I kind of want to, but it's not really practical. But for the most part, like, this is cool. And if this really is the future and they can improve those first gen issues, I think Samsung's kind of got something, and hopefully the industry picks up quick and improves upon it. If you guys have comments, questions, or want to know anything else before we get rid of this bad boy, let us know. We are Droid Life. Peace.